Hey everyone, Gill Gross here, post-match, Daniil Medvedev versus Stefanos Tsitsipas, Rome 2023 semifinal. If you're not here for spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. Medvedev through to his first big clay final, and he does so by beating a man who, over the course of the last several years, has been one of the toughest to beat on clay. Medvedev over Tsitsipas, 7-5, 7-5. This match was a bit of a mess because of the rain, out of everybody's control, but they stopped and started and stopped and started in this match. And really the chaos was at the end of the first set. So in that respect, the result is a little bit, well, I'm not going to say the result is should be looked at any differently, but I would say the Tsitsipas performance, which I found to be quite unfocused. And by the way, I know I'm starting with Tsitsipas criticism. I'll get to the Medvedev praise because I have plenty of it. But the Tsitsipas criticism is that there were some very, very bad dips in focus. And the rain would be his excuse, because other than that, there really is none for what we saw, especially when you consider there were issues between him and his box, which is something that I hadn't seen all year long, something that I saw a lot last year. And it's not something that I would focus on if it didn't correspond with dips in level between the lines of the tennis court. But in this match, he got upset with his mother for speaking Russian. Of course, Medvedev would be able to understand the Russian if Steph's mom was speaking too loudly. And that's what Stefanos got upset with. And between the first and the second set, Mama Tsitsipas left the player's box to sit all by her lonesome in a separate location. But that kind of back and forth clearly distracted Tsitsipas, because the game he played at 5-all in the first set was horrendous. Awful. He was up 40-love in the game. I didn't chart the 40-love point. Sometimes when I get distracted, it's at 40-love. So I missed that point. But then at 40-15, I have a forehand unforced error, very easy one. At 40-30, I have a forehand unforced error. At deuce, I have a backhand unforced error. And on break point, I have a double fault. From up 40-love, it's just unforced error, unforced error, unforced error, unforced error, unforced error. You can't let that happen, obviously, at the end of a set. And for that to happen at the same time that the issues with the box was happening is a horrible look. There was also a lot of racket staring, a lot of misses, and Tsitsipas was taking long looks at his racket as if there were some issues with his strings. Another thing that I was seeing a lot in February when he was struggling, and March when he was struggling, you don't like to see that. At the end of the day, your focus should be yourself and your opponent, and not your box and not your technology. I thought there was the kind of issues in the first set bled through to the end of the second from a momentum standpoint. Very low level at the beginning of the second set. And then Tsitsipas got this surge of momentum after surviving what was almost a 4-1 double break lead for Medvedev. He kind of snapped out of his funk, evened things up. Second set got to 5-all, and then Tsitsipas threw in what was another pretty sloppy game. An awful forehand drop shot at 15-love, didn't even reach the net. Medvedev played a brilliant point at 15-all, this loopy forehand cross court with a good amount of spin, followed by this backhand down the line winner on the run, open stance, absolutely gorgeous shot. At 15-30, though, another serve +1 forehand unforced error into the net. At 15-40, an overhead that Tsitsipas earned with a good serve +1, but his overhead clipped the net tape and sat up for a Medvedev forehand pass. You could call it bad luck, and I would say a portion of it is. At the end of the day, though, at the same time, I should say, your overhead shouldn't hit the net tape. So Bad games at 5-all, and that really killed Tsitsipas's chances. And I would have really liked to see, from a Tsitsipas perspective, I would have really liked to see him make Medvedev earn it a little bit more in order to get those breaks of serve at the end of each set. But there were some good moments for Tsitsipas. Approach serve +1 continues to be golden against Medvedev, and the deep return position. Everything on serve with the weapons that he was bringing to the court kind of felt on his racket. There were also times where he made Medvedev pay for getting a little bit too predictable going to his backhand, and he did come up with some good one-handers. And the game that he broke serve in the first set was a terrific game with his one-hander. Not only the drive, but even the slice. There were a lot of good things he did in the first set after Medvedev's hot start for Tsitsipas to recover that break of serve in the first set. So there were some good moments, but with as well as Medvedev was playing, if you're gonna lose your focus as he did, it's probably gonna cost you the match, and it did. Now, with that said, let's focus on Medvedev a bit. The biggest thing for Daniil is just how big he's hitting the ball. And it's a total game changer for him on clay. His forehand has gone up several weight classes since the start of the year. I had a feeling that it was going to help him a lot on this surface in particular. Of course, it's hitting the ball big is going to help you on every surface, but on clay, it's going to be an even bigger deal because in the past, we have seen over and over again that Medvedev, when facing the elite defenders and the elite movers on this surface, doesn't have enough fizz, doesn't have enough weight of shot on his forehand in particular to get the ball through the court to the point where he is doing damage from behind the baseline, or finding finishes from inside the baseline. You want to build from behind the baseline. You want to draw the short ball. You want to step in. You want to finish from inside of the court. And it felt like Medvedev and his flat forehand, his low-powered forehand, when he wasn't threatening with the drop shot, when he wasn't going to threaten with net play, it just felt so hard for him to find the offense. Like he needed to paint lines in order to actually earn a finish. And now it's so much easier. It's so much easier because he is hitting the ball huge, crushing it. Forehand down the line was really big here. I thought that he was hitting it to big targets and still able to do a lot of damage there. And of course, you want to attack Tsitsipas's backhand with a lot of pace if you can. And Medvedev did that very well. In fact, he hit 61% of his forehands in this match down the line. And I think in the past, maybe he would have just kind of massaged that shot just to change the pattern and to try to work into that backhand rally. But in this match, I thought he was doing it with purpose, which was so much better. 78% of his backhands went cross-court, and I think more than most, usually against Tsitsipas, I recommend that if you have the ability to go hard into his forehand, you should do it often. But Medvedev is uniquely positioned in this sense where he doesn't need to do it as much as others. First of all, while I don't think Tsitsipas is going to make nearly as many errors or drop nearly as many balls short as he normally would if you continuously go to his backhand and let him kind of camp there and hit them over and over again, Medvedev doesn't really... He's in no rush. He's in no rush to find an error or to find a short ball. He's okay with extending. So he certainly does that by getting to Tsitsipas's backhand because he's safe there. Stefanos is not going to really hurt him. So in that sense, it's a good thing. Medvedev's much more precise than most when he hits his backhand cross-court. While most righties will make a mistake, they'll hit a ball that doesn't have the width, doesn't have the pace, doesn't have the depth to actually get it to Tsitsipas's backhand and it will give him a chance to run around and hit a forehand. Medvedev is so good at avoiding that pitfall and hitting backhands cross court that are just so accurate that Tsitsipas is never able to really find his forehand. And that is why Medvedev gets away with hitting 61% forehand down the line, 78% backhand cross court, because he's able to kind of just make it work in his own way. And then when he goes to the other side, bring the pace, bring the boom, and really create your kill shots, or at least your attacks, into the deuce court, so that when Tsitsipas is hitting forehands, they're defensive forehands. So that was kind of the game plan. Again, I think it's the harder one to execute compared to the one that I like, which is go to the forehand and then change direction of the backhand. Make him hit backhands on the run. That's the one I prefer. But for Medvedev, he can do this one as well, and it can work for him, which it did. But ultimately, what the pace, what the added power is doing for Medvedev is he's able to sustain offense. So if you look at the stats here, Medvedev on serve, points 0 through 4 shots, 28-6. But he only hit 2 aces and 34% first serves unreturned. Super low numbers for Medvedev. This used to be it for Medvedev. Offensively, serve or bust. If you can get the serve back, you've really escaped the brunt of Medvedev's offensive capabilities on clay. But Medvedev, despite not having a huge serving day, is still able, on the 0 through 4 points on serve, to win it 28-6. So that's one thing. Here's what's even more impressive. 5 through 8 shots, 13-4. He is sustaining the offense through multiple shots, and that's what's required on clay. One good shot isn't enough. You hit that big first serve. I mean, Nadal, that's where he excels, in the 5 through 8. Craig O'Shaughnessy has done studies on this. 5 through 8 is where he separates himself, because for Nadal, it's serve, mega forehand, mega forehand, mega forehand. Now you're done. But it requires 3 in a row so often on this surface. Sometimes a net finish, maybe on the 8th shot. But Medvedev, instead of being neutralized after not creating that instant aggression, if on his serve, if not the serve plus sitter or serve plus short forehand, he can actually continue to generate the offense shot after shot after shot, high margin, and find that edge over Tsitsipas on serve, to the point where, serve is only broken twice, which is okay on a slow clay court. So that's what really impressed me here. Also found good finishes with the drop shot. So not only is he threatening with the power, but when he has to step inside the court and Tsitsipas is retreating and he's going to use his speed to be a great retriever on clay, which he is. Daniil mixing in the drop shot. Great execution on that ball. Tsitsipas, not so much. Tsitsipas, great drop shot day against Coric. Not great today against Medvedev. So those are all my thoughts. There's some big picture stuff to talk about with Medvedev, but maybe we'll get to that on Monday Match Analysis. Really interested to see what happens in the final against Rune. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.